When friends and loved ones forsake you, all you got to do is to be bold. I knew it years ago that those who undermine me had their minds undermined, but I never mind. They should keep on undermining because I'm a real good. I must undergo mining. Talking of mining, it leads to discovery. We mine to discover. We learn to discover. We observe to discover. Friends can uncover you at the same time discover you. But I don't want to discover you. I would rather discover more, so I go on the internet and I listen to words of wisdom and intellect. Availability of information, interviews of great men and women all over the diaspora and all nations. Creativity at its best, dexterity of research. No need to go through any formal education. I introduce you to the Discovery Show. Let your friends and your family know the struggles before the blow, their highs and their lows. Pay attention to this show. It will make you feel at ease. The Discovery Show on YouTube got the steez. Now Perry, the presenter, please pose for the camera. I want to hear you say cheese. We are airborne like a flu. I want to hear you sneeze. True. The Discovery Show is live on air. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. See ya. TDS TV, Yearn to Learn. Host, Perry Precious. Executive Producer, James. Hi. Thank you very much for joining us here on the Discovery Show. Here we say Yearn to Learn. This is a show that seeks to interview professionals in the diaspora and beyond who are making significant impacts in the area of healthcare, politics, religion, education, finance, technology, and what have you. And on this show, we definitely explore the lives of people. We delve into their educational, their growth, their professional, and any other background you could actually, think of. And the whole idea is to encourage you, to point you in the direction of accurate information so that together we can rise. My name is Precious Adadidiodu, ably produced by James Kwabena Opon. And today I'm excited to be interviewing one amazing lady. She's been doing amazingly well. Personally, I've followed her work on all social media platforms. She's touching so many lives. And I want to believe that you sit back and enjoy this interview. At the same time, feel free to send in your comments. If you have any questions, any comments, please send it through and we'll definitely ask our guests in due course. I'm excited to be interviewing Miss Dinah Nyamekye Wilson. She's actually the lead servant, as she prefers to be called, or the CEO of Yielding Accomplished African Women, YAW. And of course, we talk about Black sisters in STEM as well. You're welcome, Dinah.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us here. For many people who do not know you, or perhaps you followed from a distance, tell us a bit about yourself. Who is Dinah?
Absolutely. So it's actually Nyamekye now, but so Nyamekye Wilson is a young woman passionate about really living out the purposes of God on this earth and manifesting the kingdom through everything that He has called me to do, both in the marketplace and in traditional ministry.
Quite succinct, isn't it? Amazing. And of course, tell us about a bit about your growth. I think there's a lot of information about you on the internet. And one thing you talk about is, you grew up with, a single parent, and there were a lot of challenges. Per statistics, there are many things that were against you, odds and all that. But of course, with a lot of perseverance, support of your parents and all that, you were able to get to this level. Tell us a bit about your growth. How was it in general? And how are you able to overcome all these challenges? I know I've touched on that a little bit, but tell us, in full-blown story. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so I always say this, but my mother instilled in us hope. She instilled in us a faith that was unwavering. And with that reassurance, there was an understanding that anything in life is not permanent. Right? We are in time, we're not in eternity. And so, whatever you are dealing with now, whatever you are going through, there's possibility for change. And that success is really predictive. You can predict someone who's on their way to success. You can even look at someone and know that they're going towards a path that is going to be upward and mobile. And so, My upbringing, though there were a lot of things that could have hindered me, that faith, that reassurance, some of the things my mother instilled in me in terms of being persistent in education, being excellent, um, looking to be 10 times better than everyone else, not in terms of competition with someone else, but with myself. Understanding that there was so much more that I could do at any given time. I always used to tell the story when I would bring home a 93. My mom would be like, "Is that an A plus?" And I'm like, "No, a A plus is 96 to 100." She was like, "Oh, okay." Meanwhile, my other friends, they were getting C's and going to dinners, literally. I remember I came to my mom, I was like, "My friend she just got her first B and her family's taking her to dinner." And she was like, "Okay, like, great for her." And she was like, "That's not happening. The only thing I'm celebrating you for is an A plus because I don't understand why you cannot get to a 96 to 100. Even a 93 isn't good enough." And so that taught me that a 93 isn't good enough. And she gave us this, relentless rigor about whatever we do. So we didn't settle for things that were quote unquote okay, or things that were the average, or what it meant to be mediocre. And I think in this world, unfortunately, so many people have been taught and ingrained that it's okay to be mediocre. And I believe there's so much more that people have within them and then they can do. And that is why when you see people not being mediocre, they tend to stand out.
Wow. A big thank you to mom for that push. Obviously, she's been a great motivation to you. And I mean, so tell us, I mean, from that background, obviously, there will be a bit of a challenge and here and there. How were you able to go through school, financing, and putting all these together so you'll be able to flow? And obviously, you did mention that I read a bit about you as well. You did travel a lot whilst you were in school. You had a lot of scholarship. How did that impact, I mean, your journey going forward? If you look back today, and what would you say generally was your experience in school?
Yeah, I always say that God is a master planner and he is in the details. People like to say the devil's in the details. It's actually God who's in the details. Because even your mistakes, he turns around for you. And so going into school, I was someone who, from my freshman year, I knew I needed scholarships. And so from my freshman year, uh, I was gaining scholarships for university. And as the youngest sibling, I had the privilege of being able to really ride on the coattails of my older brother and sister. And they literally forced me to apply to things. They made sure I was on top of deadlines. Everything they missed, they made sure I received. And so that last born um, privilege really came into play because everything they've done, they made sure I did. And everything they didn't do, they made sure I did.
Okay.
And so by my sophomore year, I already had, I believe, around 100,000.
Wow.
Not my, yeah, my sophomore year in high school, I had about $100,000 in scholarship already. By my senior year of high school, I had over $500,000 in scholarships, and so that is what propelled me to go to the University of Virginia for completely for free. And I always like to say I actually got paid to go to school. And so every semester I would get about six to $8,000 back in extra funding from all of my scholarships. And those were some of the things that I use to uh, buy books, do all of these things, housing, et cetera, but also have spending money for those study abroad trips. Because my scholarship actually paid those as well. The only thing they didn't pay was when I was there and like the things that I bought, the food that I ate. So all in all, everything was covered by the grace of God. And now looking back at what those experiences provided me.
Mm,
One, they provided me an experiential worldview. You know, a lot of people talk about globalization, but they haven't left their town.
mm,
They talk about globalization, but they haven't been to the next state. They haven't been to the next country. They haven't been to the next jurisdiction in their country. And so it's really hard to grasp globalization and different cultures and different languages until you actually get immersed in them. And so everyone, everywhere from Brazil to the UK to Ghana to Nigeria to Morocco to South Africa, um, only place I haven't been is Australia and Asia yet. Um, I had a great understanding of some of the common patterns and threads that
Mhm.
even in my, little big city of Newark, New Jersey, there was common threads, right? Even when I went to the Caribbean, I remember saying like, this looks just like Ghana, right? And then understanding the history between the Caribbean and places like Ghana that have the largest slave castle. Now you can connect those points and have a real clear understanding of
Mhm.
the fact that cultures and traditions and
Mhm.
ideas and innovations carry even across people, even when they're removed from their homelands and their countries. And so it really gave me the understanding of how to live in different cultures, live in different contexts,
Mhm.
appreciate different cultures and different contexts, celebrate them, and
Yeah.
understand what is really missing for a lot of people across a context, right? Poverty, whether you go to Brazil, whether you go to the UK, whether you go to Ghana, it really looks the same. And it's basically through the same measures why people are typically impoverished, right? And so you have an understanding of how you can affect change and really bring solutions.
Brilliant. Viewers, we are speaking to Miss Dinah Nyamekye. I think there's another name called Inti, isn't it? Miss
Yes.
Dinah Nyamekye Inti Wilson. And she's actually the lead servant or the CEO of Yielding Accomplished African Women, and of course, Black Sisters in STEM as well. We talk about that extensively very soon. But with all that she said, growing up, one thing that I saw very commonly was travel and see. I never understood that until I grew and I started traveling. It gives you exposure, experiences beyond what money cannot buy. So I
Mm.
really identify with what you're saying, and that is great. So, viewers, please send in your comments. If you have any questions, please send it across, and we'll definitely answer that for you. So, tell us, you had what was that turning point for you? You studied BA Sociology and Gender, and then at some point or at this point, we see you in tech and finance. What was that turning point for you? What was the motivation, and when did you decide to do that?
Yeah, so for me, I actually dropped out of my finance major by my sophomore year. And like almost 50% of Black women who drop out of their STEM major, it's because of a lack of support and resources, right? I have always been good at math. I've always loved math. My dad was a mathematician. I was that nerdy girl who was in math clubs. That was me. Pretty nerdy girl though. Um, and yeah, so it wasn't about ability. It
Okay.
was more about um, the social context of my finance major and what it felt like to be one of the only Black women in the room
Okay.
amidst hundreds of other people. And so I had faith in myself that though I was not in the finance major, I would still be able to get to where I needed to go after I had the support of a lot of Black female mentors who really told me that the same energy that I came into school with, the excitement, the belief, they're not going to allow me to let it dwindle. And so through their support, their encouragement, their mentorship, I was able to still secure top internships after my sophomore year at JP Morgan, and then go into Google similarly because my major didn't define me. And I think we live in a world where labels tend to define people, but labels are actually really to provide context, right? But they don't define anyone. And so, though I was a sociology and gender major, double major, I still had the capacity and the skill set and the grit to learn, and the open mindset and curiosity to really be top in my field wherever I went, and that's really what I honed in on in the interview, and I told them. Um, I told them that I was gonna be the best they ever had in this class, and I was able to really live up to those expectations a lot of times. And it was not by my major, it was by my mindset.
Wow. And for you who is a Christian, I've seen that. Of course, I follow your posts here and there. You agree with, as the Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he. And it's also said that whatever you conceive, you can achieve. The man is very powerful, as you said. And so, well done. I mean,
Thank
such
you.
a brilliant lady. I mean, from what I've learned and from following you all along. So thank you very much for sharing that with us. You are now a product marketer at Google. Take us through your daily life. Tell us a bit about your job description. What do you do, and how is it like, basically? Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. So a product marketing manager
yeah.
at Google is basically a marketing strategist.
All
And
right.
as you guys may know, Google has many, many products, whether it be Google Search, YouTube, whether it be Google Cloud, whether it be Pixel, all Google Chromebooks, all of these things have their own marketing team. Even the doodle you see on Google every day has its own marketing team. And so the whole point of the role is to strategize to make Google more known, more beloved, and also more effective for whoever we're looking to reach out to. So, whether that's business to business or business to consumer, it's creating strategies, campaigns, and momentum around the brand that is Google.
Amazing. So, of course, for those of you who are looking for such opportunities and, of course, looking forward to entering into the tech industry, what would be your advice to them? How do they position themselves strategically to ensure that they're able to get those top notch? Of course, we'll come to STEM, Black Sisters in STEM. I know you're doing a fantastic work. But even before you started STEM, before this opportunity was presented to the world by yourself, what, apart from all that you shared so far, how did you position yourself strategically to be able to get into a tech industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So number one is exposure. You know, your level of exposure is your level of understanding, and you're as far as you will go is as far as you are exposed,
Okay.
right? So in university, I went to so many conferences. I went to conferences in banking. I went to conferences in financial services. I went to conferences in consulting. I went to conferences in tech. And so my first role at Google was actually because I was selected for what they call the Google Bold Immersion Program that selects, I believe, about 40 sophomores to go through a week long externship in person at Google. And so that gave me the opportunity to enter Google with ease and with understanding. So exposure is critical. And if you are not in a program or cannot apply to a program, find people you can speak to. Everyone in this world is willing to talk about themselves, right? Take advantage of that. Go on LinkedIn, and be fruitful with your connections, be strategic, be intentional. And so exposure is the first one. Number two, that flows into that is mentors. So out of those people who you speak to, who really took a liking to you, who was really interested, who offered to help you more than this 30-minute or 15-minute conversation, take hold of that and make sure that they help to mentor and guide you, because they can tell you one thing to do that will give you access to the job instead of you struggling for 3 months trying to figure out how to apply and how to be successful. And then lastly, upskill yourself. I don't necessarily think you have to get a certification, but if certifications is the route for you, feel free. But either way, companies don't really care about certifications, they care about practical skill sets. Build your portfolio. And to build your portfolio, you will need to have understanding of different concepts, whether it be Python, SQL, um, whatever it is, Excel. You need to be able to understand and then practically apply it through case studies, through projects, through things that you can show someone. And typically by yourself, even if you do it on a team, make sure you have an understanding of what you are doing to affect progress and change, and make sure you have a real credible role so that you can still speak to it. So those are the three main things I would say you need to break into tech with.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Dinah. Viewers, please send in your comment, your chat, whatever you want to ask Dinah. We're happy to ask her for you. And of course, she's doing amazingly well. Just a moment.
Standing there, I could feel generations of my ancestors guiding me, and I could see generations of Ghanaian women looking up to me. It was a moment of intense angst, yet liberation. I stood in the largest slave castle in West Africa, directly outside of the door of no return, and I heard a still voice in my spirit mobilize me with these words: "Your birth is evident that there is something already done that you have to start. You were born with purpose, not to find it. Your purpose will fulfill the dreams of your ancestors and pave the way for a subsequent generation. What's lost to the sea, the waves will return." Christ orchestrated my beautiful and intricately entwined identity and the oppression that it undertakes to allow me to craft a new frame of what freedom looks like. It was the very limitations of my existence, being raised by a single mother, being a first-generation Ghanaian American, being a low-income student, being a rape survivor, that allowed me to perceive and identify with my purpose. My trauma became the seeds for this vision and for this revolution. My vision is to economically empower young African women for the subsequent reinvestment into the socio-economic improvement of communities. Yielding accomplished African women is based off the tree word Sankofa. Sankofa is a Ghanaian word that translates to "it is not taboo to fetch what is at risk of being left behind." With the growth of this program, there won't be any girl left behind.
Welcome back, viewers. I'm sure if you pay critical attention to the video, it gives you a snapshot of where YAW or YAW is coming from, Young Accomplished African Women is coming from. But of course, you want to put that in perspective and hear from Dinah. Tell us a bit by yourself. Of course, what you've watched is you narrating that, but tell us how you went to the slave castle in Cape Coast. That's where the whole idea was conceived. Tell us, how did you feel? What exactly prompted you to have this vision from that particular point? And how has it been so far? Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a concept called Kairos moments, and Kairos moments means a opportune time, and they are moments that are defining moments. And when I went to the Cape Coast Castle in Ghana, West Africa, for those who don't know, it is the largest slave castle in West Africa, and I believe the largest in all of the continent of Africa. And when I went there, I went through, of course, the dungeons and the slave rooms and everything. And after going through that, you go through the door of no return. And the door of no return is where the last point where enslaved laborers would go to get onto ships to
Yeah.
be um, taken to different countries. And when we left the door of no return, our tour guide asked us to go up the stairs to the balcony. And so we all went up the stairs to the balcony. It was about a group of 40 of us with a study abroad group from University of Virginia that I went with. And we went up the balcony and he asked us to look towards the sea. And for those of you who know, Ghana is a very warm, beautiful, tropical nation. And so the day was very beautiful. The view was very beautiful. And he asked us to take in that view and how much of a beauty it was. And we thought that's all what he was asking for. And then he soon asked us, now imagine that this is the same place where ships were coming in to take away people. And not just people, but legacies and
Mm,
innovations and power and ability.
mm,
And in that moment, as a very, very visual person, it was basically a trance for me. I had saw it was as if the sky went very, very dark, very, very black. And I literally was imagining ships coming in. I closed my eyes and I was imagining that deep, dark moment that was the history for so long. And, in my spirit, which I believe and know to be the Holy Spirit, I was just quickened with that quote that I said in the video: "What is lost to the sea, the waves will return." And I knew that I was called by God to be a wave. And I was called by God to build organizations, whether for profit or nonprofit, that serve as waves to this generation and to generations to come. Because what God is doing in what I believe the end times is that He's creating a revival and He's putting people who typically were at the back of the line in the front. And when you look at the people who are in the back of the line, you will literally almost likely see Black women. And so I know I have a call to resurrect and reignite and build up what we call in Black sis an army of women who will serve as apostles in the marketplace. They're not just going to work at Google, they're not just going to work at Bank of America, but they're going to be innovators. They're going to change systems. They're going to build their own systems. And so we know that the next Nobel Peace Prize winners, the next great inventors, the next billion-dollar startups are going to come through our organization. And because of that, we really seek to redefine what it means to be a Black woman and be in STEM and what it means for them to journey along there. And so that is the story.
it looks very amazing and it sounds very great. And I'm just imagining, I mean, of course, like I said, I know, I mean, on your Facebook, or I think you've written Woman of God, and it tells me, and I know that you are a strong Christian as well. And throughout your discussion, you keep referring to the Holy Spirit and all that. I'm just imagining, and you did also mention that you basically fell into a trance when you were just standing there. And I'm just wondering, prior to your visitation, did you ever have an idea of starting a a non-governmental organization, or that was just the moment? That was when the whole idea was conceived. And what sort of support did you get right afterwards to be able to firm up this particular organization? Because it looks like, how old is the organization now?
So it started in 2018. It's 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's all over. It's all
Mhm.
over. So tell me a little about the sort of support you received when you shared this vision with people. How easily did people embrace that, and what sort of support are you still receiving and still need? Yeah.
Absolutely. So, um, when it comes to what happened with that moment, that Kairos moment, like I was saying before, is I never wanted to be a CEO of a nonprofit organization. I always wanted to be a CEO. My goal was to be a CEO of a bank corporation, specifically Bank of America, because that was the bank that my mom used. And so I was like, okay, Bank of America. So I wrote in my scholarship applications to university, I'm going to be the CEO of Bank of America. And my goal was to sit on boards like when I was like 40, late 40s, 50s, and, support them because I was this huge giant in the corporate world and I had all these connections. Da, 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 da. That was my plan.
Okay.
And that was soon upended, right? And so after that moment, I didn't necessarily have the idea formalized. I just had the understanding. And even after that moment, I kind of disregarded it, but it kept hitting me in my heart and my spirit. Like I could not forget about it. I could not think about it. And so I was
Mm.
like, okay, let me just start doing research. So I started doing research. What are the main things that hold Black women back? What are the barriers? What are the issues globally? I started reading all these reports from McKinsey and United Nations and all of these different things. And commonly, I came back to education.
Okay.
And me being someone whose life was changed by education, I was like, yeah, this is it. But education is so broad. I was like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? So I started talking to my friend who actually went to school in Ghana. And I started, taking her ideas and asking her to ask her friends, her female friends in Ghana, like what were the issues they had when it came to getting a job, like going to university, all of those things. And I was doing basically user testing and research at the same time, unbeknownst to me. And that is really how we started. And by the grace of God, whenever it's a plan of God, He will also bring the provision.
Yeah.
So in January of 2018, we didn't even have a Facebook page. I was like, okay, we need something so that we can show people that we're kind of serious. And so by the end of January, we had a Facebook page, and that's all we had. And I was emailing CEOs of companies. There used to be a website where you can get all of the emails of CEOs across different industries. I'm sure they've taken that down. And so I was writing these long letters to them via email, like, this is what I want to do. Please help me. And then the first breakthrough we had was literally so quick. It was in February,
Okay.
my birth month, actually. And the secretary of the CEO of Bank of America, coming back to Bank of America again, um, forwarded the email, like it went to the CEO, but she made sure the CEO saw it, and she was a Black woman. And
Wow.
the CEO was like, "Oh, you should give this to the head of diversity and inclusion for Bank of America." And the head of diversity and inclusion for Bank of America reached out to me and was like, can we have a meeting?" And I was like, "What?" So
Wow.
absolutely. So then we had a series of meetings. It was our first time pitching, our first time doing everything. It was probably horrible. And so she was like, "Okay, come to the office." And I think that was really just grace. She just really wanted to help us. So we came to the office, me and two other friends of mine who were helping me build this vision at the time. And they
Okay.
literally gave us $10,000.
Wow.
And all we had was a Facebook page. And even that Facebook page was not really becoming.
Uh,
And so Bank of America was our first corporate sponsor. And then we had an individual sponsor who was a really, 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 really amazing family friend. And I actually just went to Ghana with him in December. And we did a whole interview on City TV as well. And he also gave, I believe, 10,000. So then we had 20,000. And we went to Ghana, a group of 5 of us, and we held the first Our Girls, Our Future Talent Accelerator program with 10 girls in Accra. It was in East Legon, right closer to American House, for those of you guys who know East Legon.
yeah.
And that was that. And then our women did extremely well. They all ended up with jobs. They all, a lot of them are just completed master's programs now. Um, One of them is now in Microsoft in Seattle. There is just so much of a range of things they have done,
Mm.
and success they have had since 2018. And so we knew we were to something. We knew we were up to something because they were just drastically transformed. It was literally a 180. It was a 180 in their character. It was a 180 in their leadership. It was a 180 in their skill set. They all had done leaps and bounds in their post exam, then in their entrance exam. And it was truly the point that proved to us, yes, it's time to move forward with this. And so from 10 girls there, we now have about 8,000 women in our community, and we are in 33 countries across the world.
33.
Yes, 33 countries, with over 200 schools represented in our community. And so the 10 girls set it up for us. And funny enough, 10 is actually such a powerful number. 10 is a number of restoration and redemption. And so to start with 10 is actually really powerful. And as I look back at the story, again, God is in the details. For us to choose 10, for us to choose Ghana, for us
Mm.
to have Bank of America, the first corporate sponsor, which I thought is where I would actually end up. Um, and having our family friend give us 10, both of them giving us 10,000, right? It was really a year of restoration, redemption, and the Lord accelerated us from there.
I'm sure the next time we get to meet, probably on another platform or here, perhaps it's likely we might have Lady Reverend Dinah Nyamekye. No, I mean it's amazing. I admire the fact that you overtly declare your faith, and that informs every decision of yours. And for me, who is a Christian as well, I'm so glad to know that. And you did. I mean, it's amazing because I mean the whole idea was in January. You started writing all these letters. February, you saw some great help coming in. And when did you go to Ghana? When did you have that first session with the 10 girls? Which month was that?
Yeah, so I went to Ghana right after my graduation party,
Okay.
which was in June. So my
Okay.
graduation party was the end of May. I went to Ghana literally the next day after my graduation party in June.
Mm.
And so June 2020, 2018 is
All
when
right.
we went to Ghana.
So within 6 months, a lot of things are taking place. And of course, that whole organization was firmed up. That is some brilliant work. And we thank God for all that. So you're now in 33 countries. You're having 8,000 ladies and counting. So tell us a bit about that. What exactly do you do for these ladies? I know you've given a snapshot of what you do, but perhaps I'm sure you have blocks of specific things and specific models for the ladies and all that. Tell us what exactly you do and what options you have for people. Yeah.
So, Black Sisters in STEM is the umbrella organization, the global head of what is yielding accomplished African women. And by the grace of God, hopefully we will also have a Caribbean subsidiary very, very soon, which will also
Wow.
have its own name, and even a Latin American one, because there's a lot of Afro Latinas. So
Mhm.
there are definitely three subsidiaries that we look to create, one in Africa, one in Latin America, and one in the Caribbean, by the grace of God. And the Black Sisters in STEM is for globally. So if you are a Black woman in the US or a Black woman in the UK or a Black woman in China, somehow you got there. You can join us if you identify as a Black woman. And I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I was just asking, do you have specific models for specific group of people? What sort of models do you run here?
Absolutely. So our organization is a two-sided marketplace. So on one side, we're building the largest talent marketplace for corporations, universities, startups to hire, recruit, engage, and invest in Black Gen Z
Okay.
women. On the other side of that, we are building the largest six-figure sorority of Black Gen Z women. And for our women, what we do is broken down into three key pillars.
Okay.
Number one, technical and non-technical upskilling.
Mm.
Everything from mental health, how to wear your hair for an interview, all the way to Python. We make it so specific to Black women and the issues they face so that it can be more effective. So that's the upskilling. The second one is what we call meaningful mentorship, whether it be vertically or horizontally. So, vertically, obviously, with people who are already in corporate areas who can mentor them from a vertical standpoint. And then horizontally, them mentoring each other, peer to peer mentorship, growing and developing with one another. And then lastly, curated opportunities. So, what is different from about us than Indeed or LinkedIn is the fact that we curate opportunities. So much time you go to these websites and you have to do 10 million searches and you probably don't even find anything that's really relevant to you, especially as an early career entry level person. It's very hard to use those websites. And it's very hard, especially if you are coming from the Caribbean, you're coming from Latin America, you're coming from Africa. They are basically very US focused, and maybe things like London and France, maybe they would be on there, but it's very difficult. So we curate those opportunities for them so that they're able to access it more effectively.
Brilliant. So for, I mean, you started in Ghana, and I think you said it's headquartered in Ghana as well, isn't it? For the YW, is that right?
Yes, so Yielding Accomplished African Women is headquartered in Ghana, and
All right.
Black Sisters in STEM is headquartered in the US.
All right. So I asked that question if you have different models. Just let me give you a scenario. For a lady who has just completed, let's say, university or even secondary school, again, I'll come to the qualification. Do you have an age category? Do you have any particular group of people? Maybe you can clarify that before I go ahead.
Yes, 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 yes. So we have one model because we have one age group. We don't do K to 12 or basically kindergarten to high school. We don't do that. We volunteer and support them. We work with nonprofits to bring them into our work, other community partners, but we don't have that's not the focus of our organization. The focus of our organization is the 18 to 26 range. And the only reason why it's 26 is because, as you can imagine, in some countries, and really all over the world, people don't necessarily go to college at a certain time, right? 18 is the typical, but we have people who came to us when they were 18 and they had finished college, right? And we have people who came to us at 22 and now they were starting college. So it's really college age folks. And you don't have to be in university to be a part of us, but you have to be in that university age range, which is typically 18 to 26.
All right. So that's clear. So I guess the question I'm asking is for my niece who is in Ghana and in the university at the moment, and a friend who is, let's say, here in the UK and would like to join. For both of them, different settings, but of course, all Black women. Do
Yeah.
they have the same model, or you have well-tailored models to suit the context where they are, especially if they don't intend to, let's say, move, let's say, to the US to look for jobs in there, but in Ghana. So I just want that context specific clarification as to whether you have specific models based on where you are.
Yeah, so the model doesn't change, and that is because we built our model to really be sustainable and cross-cultural, right? But the partners change, right? So, for example, if you're in the UK, you would be more effective for partners who are hiring and have robust programs in the UK. Whereas in Ghana, we have partners like El Paro Consulting or Starlight Insurance or Mazuma, which is a fintech startup that are all based in Ghana, right? So you would have access to opportunities that would be more relevant for you. But technical upskilling, meaningful mentorship, and curated opportunities is something that you would need wherever you live. And so it's just really the partners that we bring on to support different areas. But because of the way the world is going, we don't even have a lot of that work to do. Companies like Google already have programs in Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa. Companies like PwC, Deloitte, EY, they have offices in almost every region of the continent. Startups are very much so looking for African talent to invest in. And so it is really becoming even easier to host our model because people are moving remote, and people are designing remotes from the employee stance. And so the industry is going in a way where it's really about qualifications and not about location. If I can give you a laptop and I can give you a VPN and you can finish the work, that's really all that matters.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Viewers, we are speaking to Miss Dinah Nyamekye Wilson. She's actually the lead servant or the CEO of Yielding Accomplished African Women and, of course, Black Sisters in STEM. And their work has massively been featured on various platforms, MTV, Google, Face to Face Africa, many of them. I mean, innumerable platforms. And of course, here on the Discovery Show, TDS TV, we say yearn to learn. And if you're wondering what exactly, perhaps you join us in the middle of the conversation. She has identified that one of the key things that has actually bedeviled, Black women has to do with education. And she's focusing on technology, finance, and providing mentorship, leadership skills. And now they are in 33 countries. And of course, they have 8,000 Black women they are mentoring or they are supporting in different platforms. And for herself, she's a product marketer with Google. So she's doing amazingly well. And if you join us later, she has a lot of money sitting in her account because she had a lot from university. So yeah, that's just by the way. So, just tell us a little bit, if anybody want to join right now, how do they join?
Yes, so I believe it's the bit.ly/join Black Sis.
Okay.
And that is our link to our form. It's an intake form. It's pretty simple, but it gives us information about you. It ensures that you identify as a Black woman, and that you are college aged, and then you go from there. So it's really simple. Most people come to join us through either word of mouth or through social media, and that's how we grow our community. And so we're looking forward to having you all, especially the UK. The UK is not a area of focus for us right now, but we definitely see a lot of people coming in from the European countries, and so um, we say hello to you all and feel free to join us because we are very much so ready for you.
I'm sure it should be one of your focus very soon, but of course,
Yeah.
that is okay. Just a moment.
Meet Mr. X, an unhappy businessman who has been waiting for days for his goods to be delivered. Unlike Mr. X, business is booming for Mr. K because of his efficient partnership with Hembeck 60 Hub, also known as HB 60 Hub. We are an online platform that sources for goods from across the globe. We only pull high quality standard products from anywhere in the world and ship them right to your doorstep. Be it watches, clothes, bags, and many others, do get in touch by contacting us on www.henbeckagency.myshopify.com, or you can call us on +233 546 022 952 or hembektravels@gmail.com. Hembeck 60, truly a world of endless possibilities.
Thank you very much for sticking and staying with us here on the Discovery Show. We say yearn to learn. So, of course, if you need bags, books, footwears, watches, books, or bags, any of these ones, bought and shipped to you wherever you are across the globe, contact Henbeck 60 Hub, HENBECK 60 Hub, and they'll do the best of jobs for you. So you can contact them on Facebook, send them a Facebook Messenger, or you can send them an email at henbecktravels@gmail.com, or send them a message or call them on +233 546 022 952. Henbeck 60 Hub, truly a world of endless possibilities. So then I was going to ask you, all along, I know when I check on your website, as part of the group you work with, we have gentlemen as part of that. But where do we see men in this equation? If somebody want to be of help, if somebody want to join, do you accept them? I know it's specifically for ladies, but where do we have men in this situation if they want to help or be
Yeah.
part?
So we have a lot of male mentors in our org because mentors can be of any color or gender or race. So men really serve as allies in mentorship. We have men who have joined us to support our women. Our first group of 10, the finance teacher and coordinator was actually a male, and he came all the way from the U.S. He was Black American, and so yeah, men can be very much so allies to the goal and the vision. Of course, they can't be in the organization, but that is for another person, another man to hopefully create for you guys.
All right. Thank you. And then on the other side, what sort of support you need? Of course, Oliver Twist, you always be asking for more, and that applies to everyone, financially and all that. But beyond finances, is there any capacity? So let's say you spoke about mentors and all that. If people want to volunteer to help, because this is a great vision with long lasting impressions and impacts. So how do people contact you? What sort of work are they able to volunteer to help with?
Yeah, so our website is currently going under development, but it's still up. But so you can utilize that to send us a message, and you can see I believe you can see the multiple volunteer roles there as well. But to get in contact with us, it would be through the website. And what roles are available for someone who wants to invest in the future of Black Gen Z women? One, I always do say yes, put your money where your mouth is, right? So we have a lot of campaigns where we are not only raising funds, but we're doing raffles for products from Black owned businesses. So not only can you give to us, but you can also stand a chance to win awesome bags, hair, all these different things. And so clothes. And so that's that. Secondly, if you are looking to become a mentor or volunteer, you can also be able to do that. And then lastly, we are always looking for pro bono skill-based volunteers. So if you are great with data science and analytics and you want to help us build up our data infrastructure, if you are really good with strategy, you're a management consultant and want to come on in that capacity uh, part time to help us flesh out our strategy and our ability to scale. If you are someone who is an accountant and you want to be able to help us with our books, all of those things, if you have those skills that are needed for any given startup or business, you can also reach out to us via our website, and we would love to talk with you and see how you can support.
Great. Just let me clarify this. You spoke about having partnerships with various organizations, I mean, top organizations. Apart from supporting people with developing their skills and all that, do you in any way, just to clarify, perhaps recommend people from that organization to say, okay, we think this person will be great, or you support them to prepare for such interviews, recommendations? What exactly? I just want to clarify because I mean, people will come back asking, so that's why I want to clarify.
That's both. So we provide training and then we also provide support with recruitment, right? So we don't want to train you and then hopefully you figure something out. We train you so that we can connect you with our partners, and we bring our partners on so they can train you. It's like it's a circular model, right? The
Yeah,
partners are helping to train you. They're also hiring you. Then you are also engaging in training, becoming more hireable, and being more applicable, being more effective for our partners or just any organization that you would like to work with within tech and business. So yeah, it's a very circular model.
amazing. What is the commitment level? So if someone is signing up, let's say someone in Ghana want to sign up, let's say in school or completed, how regularly do you meet? I'm sure you're going to have virtual meetings. How regularly do you meet, and what sort of commitment is there for people who will enroll on your program?
Absolutely. So I would say the commitment is probably 2 to 2 hours a week. Typically,
Okay.
we break it down that way. And It's in ebbs and flows though. So for example, our main training programs are in the key points throughout the year. So we have something um, camps in like March, April. Then we have our big 12-week accelerator that starts in July. Then we have our Hire Her 1 month sprint that goes starts in October and September, October. So there, those are like the key focal points that are more compressed of your time commitment. But throughout the months, we have so many programs. Yesterday, we just had the How to Change Your Life in 1 year with Caitlin Kumi. We also have our monthly therapy session later on today. And so we're always having programs, whether technical workshops, non-technical professional development workshops, mental health workshops, and also alumni engagement and fun community workshops that are happening throughout the month. So there's never a time where we're not doing something and you cannot be involved.
Okay,
Yeah.
amazing. I was just going to ask you, you're very busy.
Mhm.
How do you unwind? How do you, of course, you told me you travel a lot, but
Mhm.
how do you unwind basically? Because you're involved in your own work, STEM, I mean, yeah, W, church, and all other things. How do you unwind?
Yeah, I unwind. I think having a Sabbath day is really critical. And so I haven't fully maximize or implemented my Sabbath day, but I definitely have Sabbath time where it's like I literally just play instrumentals or songs that I love and that fill up my spirit, and I just lay there and I don't do anything. And so it's quiet time for me because when you're doing so much, I think what happens is it typically makes your brain run a bit more like faster than typical other people maybe, and that can bring along a lot of stress, and so you have to be in places and cognizant to create spaces where your brain is at rest, right?
Yeah.
Because that actually flows to your entire body. um Working out is also another thing that people can do. I'm not a big person who works out. I probably should be, but that is not the truth of my story. But for me, it is really creating those times and moments of quiet time and rest.
Blessing Ibi says, wow, I love the way you answer these questions. Naturally, you have the charisma to pull attention. So that's one for you. And one person who has been sending a lot of messages, she's amazed by the point that you started with 10 girls and now you have over 8,000 ladies. That is Mami Ekia AAA. And she sent many, many, many messages here. One says that this is inspiring. And of course, I think when I asked about, I asked one other question, she said like she would like to ask. And then she comes in with another one. She would like to know, this is inspiring. I'm really keen to know the major events Black Sis has lined up for this year. So if you want to give a snapshot of that.
Absolutely. So, such a great question. So, we have, I'll start with the major programs. Major programs are the training camps that are sponsored by companies. And so these are like 2-day sprints that really help you hone in on a specific area. And we're going to have them once a quarter. Um, then we have the second major program of Our Girls, Our Future Talent Accelerator. And hopefully, by the grace of God, pray that the Lord will help us with this. We are going to bring back the Black Women in Machine Learning Conference in November or December live on the continent of Africa. Is going to be a good time. And it's the only and the first Black Women in Machine Learning Conference. So excited about that. Then after our major programs, we have our monthly programs. So the first monthly program that we are launching next month, Black History Month, is the Melanin Mentorship Movement. And so this is where we have key mentors from different areas, different industries, 4 of them per event come and speak to you. So they can either all come from the same company or come from different companies. So imagine a data scientist, a product manager, a software engineer, and a UX UI designer, all on the same panel giving you mentorship. So that's happening monthly. Then we also have the Sis Let's Talk monthly therapy and mental health workshop with our, oh, sorry. Sorry about that. That was my call to prayer, actually. So then we have the Sis Let's Talk, and it's done with a Black female psychologist. So we're really excited about that every month. Then we have the Explained by a Black Woman monthly event, which is typically a non-technical professional development workshop. And then lastly, the last event that we have every month is the First Look. So that is where companies like Schmidt Futures, Bloomberg, DocuSign, all of these amazing companies come in and give you a first look at their culture, their company, their recruiting, and what you need to know to be successful. So yeah, that's what we have lined up for this year.
I now understand why you said earlier that there seems to be something almost every time. Yes. You have a lot of things packed up coming up here. And of course, Ophelia Asantua Ejesa says, that's my CEO with so much wisdom. So, and Ophelia again says, wow, amazing, can't wait. Of course, I always say we are not out of words, but we are out of time. But I just want to ask you, what are your final words, the people watching us and those who watch us later? It's been amazing speaking to you. I followed your work for a while. I mean, at least for the past 1 year since I got in touch. Yeah. And you are doing amazingly well. But let me hear your final words, what you have to tell your people.
Yeah, I would say my final words are be kind to yourself, maximize your time by understanding how you can up-level your skills. And lastly, everything in your life is based off of your value. And so always seek to increase your value in multiple ways so that you would always be in demand. That's it.
Amazing. And as the Bible says that the path of the righteous shines brighter and brighter unto a new day. And I pray that even as you lift others, may you be lifted. Continue to do well. You are doing amazingly well. I'm sure you've heard this 1,001 times, and perhaps it might sound like it's a cliche, but you are doing amazingly well. There are a lot of ladies who hitherto didn't have that sort of courage, they didn't have that inspiration, but a lot of people now look up to you, the sort of work you're doing, and it's changing lives. So continue doing that. And of course, let us know how best we could also support as well. It's been a pleasure having you here, Dinah. I know it's been a long time, but of course, we are grateful that despite your busy schedules, you managed to be here on the Discovery Show. God bless you.
Absolutely. Thank you. God bless you for having me.
Amazing. Thank you very, very much, viewers. Those who were able to join us and those who watch later, we are grateful. And as we say here on the Discovery Show, yen to learn. My name has been Precious Anadidiodu, ably produced by James Kwabena Opon. And here we say yen to learn. So yen to learn something from yielding accomplished African women and Black sisters in STEM. God bless you and have a lovely weekend. Thank you. Bye.
Life is a journey and sometimes can be a lonely road. When friends and loved ones forsake you, all you got to do is to be bold. I knew it years ago that those who undermined me had their minds undermined, but I never mind. They should keep on undermining because I'm a real good. I must undergo mining. Talking of mining, it leads to discovery. We mine to discover, we learn to discover, we observe to discover. Friends can uncover you at the same time discover you. But I don't want to discover you, I would rather discover more, so I go on the internet and I listen to words of wisdom and intellect. Availability of information, interviews of great men and women all over the diaspora and all the issues. Creativity at its best, dexterity of research, no need to go through any formal education. I introduce you to the Discovery Show. Let your friends and your family know the struggles before the blow, their highs and their lows. Pay attention to this show, it will make you feel at ease. The Discovery Show on YouTube got the steez. Now Perry, the presenter, please pose for the camera. I want to hear you say cheese. We are airborne like a flu. I want to hear you sneeze. It's true. The Discovery Show is live on air, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. See ya. TDS TV, Yearn to Learn. Host, Perry Precious. Executive Producer, James.